भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ।
Dear friends, welcome back to the study of the Mundaka Upanishad. We have completed the first Mundaka during the previous studies. We have started on the second Mundaka, the first chapter of the second Mundaka. Now, we have been telling ourselves, the Upanishad says, from that absolute immutable, the word actually used in Sanskrit is akshara. We translate it as immutable absolute. Now, while translating, a little change takes place in conveying the correct idea. So, if I say, from that absolute, that immutable, this whole world is come out, the cosmos, its differences and diversities have come out, and it goes back to it again. How could it be then immutable absolute when this change takes place there? But while speaking in English and trying to explain it to you, I've been using the word immutable absolute, infinite eternal, beyond time, space and causation, which is experienceable. How? Awareness of my amness. Who that am is the question mark. When I know who that am is, I am one with the absolute, with the cosmos. Prior to that, I don't know how this all happens. And if I use the word immutable, absolute, then how can this deviation take place in an absolute and an immutable thing? This is the difficulty that most of the students have. Today, dear, I would like to spend some time on this subject so that you once for understand what is what. I will use the word absolute, the immutable. You will have to understand, according to the context, whether I am speaking about that absolute, nirakara, nirguna, nirvikalpa Brahma, without shape, without a name, without form, without any mutation, and etc., the absolute. That is according to the context. And according to the context, it is absolute in itself. Somehow or other, from that, the diversity has come in, and into that, the diversity dissolves. This is a concept, and I've used these words and quoted some of the statements of the Upanishad. Tat jalam shanta upasita. I've told you many a times, it's a famous statement from Mundaka Upanishad. Here, tatha aksharat vividha somya bhava prajayate tatra eva cha apiyanti, the first shloka of the Prathama Khanda of the second Mundaka. What does he say? He gives an example, a blazing fire, thousands and thousands of sparks. The blazing fire and the spark, qualitatively, essentially, they are fires. Because of its capacity, quantitative capacity to burn, one is a blazing fire and the other is known as a spark. I've given it a name because it has two different forms and two different quantitative capacity. But it comes out of the fire, it goes back to the fire. That means it comes out of the same thing where it goes behind. There's a little, I would say, difficulty in understanding how does it go back to the fire. I see coming out of the fire, but you say it's go into the fire. Well, always remember, an example has to be utilized for the purposes of exemplification. Don't overdraw it. Don't try to make it at all times, all comprehensive. It is one-pointed. It wants to highlight the exemplification of the example. So don't make that mistake. Now I'll give you a few examples and you will understand what does it mean. Say, for instance, I've given you this example before. There's no harm repeating. To clarify the concept, from the absolute, this phenomenal world of diversity has come out. And it goes back into the absolute. That is what he says. Vividha somya bhava. The world of diversity of material things, or things and ideas, whatever it is, they come out of it, they go back to it. This going back to it is somehow or other, I don't understand as of now. But I will understand that when I, through the process of meditation, see that slowly and slowly and slowly, the diversity of this world is slowly and slowly and slowly converting into isness. The rest are all, I would tertiary, the rest are all transitory. Now let me give you 2 or 3 different examples. And each example will highlight one aspect. Say, for instance, you are boating on the Parramatta River. The water is flowing between the 2 banks and the bed, and the river is essentially water. And you are boating on it. Now I take an earthen pitcher, tie a rope down the neck of that pitcher, and immerse it in the river. I don't lift it up. I keep it immersed. What do you say? An earthenware has been immersed in the river and it is full of river water. The earthenware is immersed in the river and it is full of river water. That is a statement of fact of life. Now I ask you, you lift that. You lift it up and you hang it in air. What do I say? Water contained in a pitcher. That water's descriptive characteristic has changed. it is parameter river water. But now it is contained in an earthen pitcher. And I say, water contained in a pitcher, you are hanging it above the water. Water is the parameter river water. Now, as it is contained in a name and a form known as a pitcher, and I know the shape and size of a pitcher, I have got the name of the pitcher, and that pitcher has separated the parameter river water into itself. So it looks to be different from the parameter river. It's contained in a pitcher. The concept of separateness has got a hold on you. Now I tell you, get a stick, hit the pitcher and break it. You do so. What happens to the water? It goes back to the parameter river and becomes a river water. What has happened? Somehow or other, you had a thing with a name, with a form, with a characteristic quality and an utilitarian value. Name is a pitcher, you know the form of the pitcher. What is its characteristic value now? Qualitative, what is this? I will say, Nama, Rupa, Guna, quality. It has different quality of pitcher water. As soon as you break that pitcher, water goes back to river and becomes river water. It was river water. For the time being, you called it a pitcher water. Does not change its character. It goes back to that again. Here is an example. Then there's another example. What is that? We know in the ordinary material sciences, in physics, there is ether, which is in the 5 elements of nature. Fire, earth, water, air, ether, fire. What is ether? The subtlest of the subtlest material which penetrates through these hard areas and is an indivisible whole. I take another picture and I place it here. And I say ether is contained in the pitcher, or ether in pitcher, and ether in the whole cosmos. Akasha is the concept of ether in our Sanskrit cosmology. Akasha. Now that is in the pitcher. I say space partitioned by that container. Ether partitioned by that container. Break the container, ether remains ether. Here's another example. Now when he says Aksharat, please kindly think of a pot of clay. A soft pot of clay, well watered and made a lump and a pot, and the intelligence of the potter with the potter's wheel, he creates so many different things out of that clay. Go to a potter's shop or a terracotta product shop, you will find thousands and thousands of different shapes and size of earthen material, clay material. That is what you will see. Now, if you break those materials, what remains? Clay again. Only it is pot when it was maneuverable and manipulated. It is now burnt. It is burnt, hard clay, but it is clay. The clay is the basis. From the clay, you have created all these things. Material cause is the clay, and intelligent cause is the intelligence of the creator, intelligence of the potter. He creates. The created elements are all hidden in that clay, created by the intelligence of the potter. Upadana Karana, material cause, and Karana Karana, inevitable cause, intellectual cause. But it is clay. It has come out of that clay, and when you destroy the Nama and Rupa, it goes back to clay. What is the everlasting existence? That is, clay is, I am, the whole cosmos is, and I am seeing the cosmos, I am interacting with the cosmos with my 5 sense organs, I collate my experience, I go to a conceptual world of ideas, and beyond that, the ultimate idea, isness of the cosmos. That is the absolute of the absolute. Aksharat parataha paraha. This Upanishad now tells you. What is that? Etasma jayate prana mana sarva indriyanicha khang vayu jyotirapaha prithivi vishwasya dharini. And in the second shloka he says, Divya hi amurta purushaha sabhajya abhyantara ajaha aprana amana shubhraha aksharat parata paraha. Akshara, it is beyond that akshara, pure and simple existence. That is my true original nature, Sat Sarup, Chit Sarup, Ananda Sarup Atma. That is Aksharat Parataha Para. This chapter, the first chapter of the second Mundaka, is dedicated to give you ideas about what is that absolute. As because it is absolute of the absolute, it is not describable, it is not definable, it is not perceptible by my 5 sense organs, therefore I can't explain it. But it is. How do you say it is? What about you? Don't you feel I exist, I am? And this amness is mine with me for 96 years? It has never let me down. It is ever existent. And this body is living, although it is changing every minute. Millions of cells are destroyed, millions of cells are created in this living organism. That is why it was a newborn baby at one point of time. Now it is an old, tattered old man. It is undergoing a change. But my awareness of my amness has never changed. I have acquired. What I have acquired? I am wiser, I am intelligent, I have a robust common sense. These are all my acquired qualities. I shed those acquired qualities. Where do I stand? I stand on my pure existence. Aksharat parataha para. So Without this clarity of understanding, dear, you will not be able to understand what the Upanishad is trying to teach you in the first chapter of the second Mundaka. First example was given as Shudipta Pavakad Vishwalingam. Tatha Aksharat, as for example, as the example I have given, sparks coming out of the fire. And when it says just go back to the fire, that's elemental fire. Fire is an eternal element. When they are conglomerated together, it appears as a flame in a candle. And when you say, I have had the candle, I have put it off the candle, where did the fire go? Every small atom of the fire is mixed up in this atmosphere. That is why he says it goes back to its original source. What is that original source? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. The five principal elements which is the cause of this diverse cosmos. So, dears, this is something which you have to very well remember. We have studied the first shloka, where this I was waiting so that you have a little nodding acquaintance of what is Paravidya Vishaya. Paravidya Vishaya means what is the object that this Paravidya will lead me to. That object being absolute of the absolute, it is not perceptible by five sense organs. Therefore, we cannot have a conceptual idea, understanding. All we can do is the word Purusa is always mentioned. What is Purusa? He who resides in this Pura. He who resides in this body. This body is a city in itself. It intakes food, it generates energy, it keeps the body growing, flowing, acting, and a time comes when this body disintegrates and all the elements goes back to its nature. After death, the five elements are to be very respectfully thanked that they were together as my human body now have left of this body. I pray, let the five elements go back to their original nature. That is what we do. But I am is always there. Even when I am dying, whether I am able to speak or not, I go through this experience. I am dying. That is, I am withdrawing from this body. I have a subtle body. That is a different subject. We can discuss it when occasion comes. Here, let us conceive now, let us concentrate on now the concept of the supreme absolute and the phenomenal absolute. Clay is absolute compared to all the things made out of clay. Space is absolute. The size and shape demarcates the place, and I say, this is a table, this is a floor, this is a speaker, this is this, this is... What does it mean? It has occupied this much of space. So I am dividing the undivisible space for my day-to-day utilitarian value. That is what I call it a space. It has a form. What is a form? That much of space has been defined in a gross material form. This is my glasses. This is my Angavastra. It takes a little space. Space is indivisible, but For my utility, it is being space, called a space, and given a name. Space is absolute. So space is absolute, and the space is absolutist of the absolute. Please kindly try to remember that, and don't try to find out in the skies. It is your true original nature. That is why in the second shloka of the first chapter of the second Mundaka, he explains in a suggestive manner. You know what is that aksharat paratah para? You know the absolute of the absolute, or the absolute of the phenomenal absolute. This is a better way of understanding. What is that? That is, I am. The world is. When I look at the world, I say the world is. When I look at myself grammatically, it would be wrong to say I is. I say I am. The world is and I am. Amness is the eternal essence. And finally, this is the material examples that I give. Now there is another example. What is that? A rope, and because I do not know that it is a rope, I am seized of ignorance of the true nature of the rope. Because of law of association, the rope is lying on the floor in semi-darkness in such a manner that my past impression of a snake, which creates a fear of self-preservation, instinct of self-preservation, fear of death, fear of being bitten by a snake, I create a snake where it is not. And that creation of mine in the domain of imagination, how did it happen? Because I did not know it is a rope. Between that gap of my knowing what it is, I know it is something, samanya jnana. It is something. And then without knowing what it is in particular, it's a piece of rope. In that gap of understanding, time gap of that understanding, I create because of my past samskaras and because of the ignorance of what it is, so that the chance of mistaken identity does not appear. I say it's a snake. And that imaginary snake, which I have created by my ignorance, takes such a real form, I howl and shout to save me, please help, a snake, a snake, a snake. And all of you come to kill the snake, and after beating it 3 or 4 times, you don't see any animated reflex on that beaten animal. You look close by, oh, it is a hemp rope, lying as if it is a snake. You are a stupid ass, you create a problem for me. People go back home and you feel what an ass you have made of himself. You didn't give yourself the chance to see it deeply, and you have created a snake, and you have created a whole world of commotion. Now, you have created the snake from the rope because of your ignorance. Where did that imaginary snake disappear? It disappeared in the rope. When you know it is a rope, the snake has merged into it. You don't see the snake again. You saw the snake because You are ignorant of the true nature of the rope. You had a general knowledge of the rope. Something is existing there. You do not know what that something in particular. All these are examples given for us to have a clear vision that, firstly, don't try to find out that eternal reality, the absolute of the absolute. Don't try to look into the skies outside you. It is within you. That is the greatest equation. I am Atma Brahma. I am, and I am that eternal cosmic entity. When I look within myself, I say I am. Sense of separateness is still there. And when I say I am, and I merge with the cosmos, the cosmic existence, the Holy Ghost, I am one with that absolute of the absolute. So, tatha aksharat vividha somya bhava prajayate tatra cha eva apiyanti. It comes out of that, it goes back to that. River water, pot of clay, and the snake and the rope. Three different categories of example to instill in you that you are different from all this material. You are the absolute, the spirit, the Atman, the Brahman, the Holy Ghost, the Sunyam of the Buddhist, the Tao of the Taos, and Shalom and the Spirit, the wisdom of God, Torah of the Jews. This is what you are. So we have studied the first, where he says, Tatha, giving the example of a blazing fire. He says, now the exemplification is, from that absolute, that is phenomenal absolute, the worldly absolute, from that absolute, nama rupa bhedat, because of a name and a form and a utilitarian value and quality, it comes out of it, it goes back to it. Whether it is water of the river, whether river water flowing into the sea, where the banks and the bed has disappeared, and it is ocean water. You cannot separate the Parramatta river water, which has gone into the Tasmanian Sea. You can't bring it back. It's inseparably mixed up. Similarly, you will inseparably identify yourself with the eternal spirit of this cosmos, which is your true original nature. Look within yourself, not without. And this within yourself will be described in the second chapter and the whole of the third Mundaka. How to build up your spiritual life. What are the methods and means by means of which you can go up to that level of awareness. Divya hi amurta Purusa. Divya, this is another word which you have to pay attention to. Don't think about you are not progressing in the study. You are progressing in the domain of clarity of ideas, not the number of shlokas. The clarity of idea is divya. Divya means effulgent, luminosity. Now, if we switch off all these lights, there is darkness. Darkness does not allow me to see things. And because of that effulgence, I see you. I know you. I experience your presence. I see you. By seeing, I know you. And then I experience your presence. Why? Because of this light. But this light is material. You have an effulgence within yourself, your true original nature. That effulgence, psychologically, psychically within you, is identified as awareness, consciousness. What happens? This light has given me luminosity within the range of my eye's capacity. It is not too bright when my eyes are blinded, not too dark when I don't see. The light is within the capacity of my perception. My self's organs with the mind goes out, encompasses you totally, brings that picture with shape, size, color, everything back to me, reflects on the retina. That retina stimulates the optic nerves behind the retina. That stimulation is in the nervous system, and that stimulation through the nervous system goes to that part of the brain which is equipped to read those sensations. And when it has read it, your self-effulgent character, Swayam Jyoti, I am effulgence personified, it lightens it up, and I say, I know, I experience. That completes the circle. This is material effulgence, and your true original nature is Sat Swarup, Chit Swarup, Ananda Swarup Atma. Chit Swarup means awareness, consciousness. Divya means you are self-effulgent, just like in a worldly example, the sun. Do you need a torchlight to see the sun? Do you need a searchlight to see the sun? The sun is self-evident luminosity. Similarly, your awareness is your true original nature. Chaitanya Swarup, Sat Swarup, Chit Swarup means Chaitanya Swarup and Ananda Swarup. That is your true original identity, nature. Therefore, it is being said, you are Divya Dotanavan, you are self-effulgent. Without that Atman in you, you will not be able to know anything. That Satchidananda Swarupas, Chaitanya Swarupata. Sa Samvedya Chaitanya, self-evident awareness. That is the meaning of the Divya. He is defining you, he is defining me, he is defining all of us, humans who are interested in this study. Divya, Amurta, it has no shape. In the cosmos, he is everywhere. That is, there is no concept of space where isness is not there. Space is, air is, water is, fire is, earth is. The 5 basic elements of nature with which, with infinite permutation and combination, this has been created. Isness is always there, but it has no shape. Amurta. But you cannot say, I don't exist. You can't say that. Swasambid, it's self-evident. You can't say I don't exist. I am, I exist. Self-effulgent, you don't need anybody's help to tell you, you exist. You exist, you exist. You don't need anybody to tell you. If somebody tells you, you don't, you are not, as I tell jokingly, if God comes and tells you, Sridharananda, you don't exist, he means, as Sridharananda, you don't exist. And I take it, he's saying, I am not without myself. And I have the courage to tell God, sir, you're a busy man, you have to run the whole world, you keep busy, don't try to convince me that I don't exist. I am. I am what I am, not describable, but experienceable. Sambedya, self-evident. Divya, Amurta. Where to find him? Purusa. Purusa not in grammatically the masculine gender. Here Purusa has a special meaning. Puri Shayanat Purushaha Purnatvat cha Purusa. 2 words. Purnatvat. All permeating. There's not a speck of space, not an iota of time when I am not the Atman when conceived as Brahman. And when I am only concerned with myself, I am covered by 5 sheaths. Just like an onion, you remove the sheaths and you end up in nothingness. There are 5 coverings: Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Anandamaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. You are above that. What you are not describable but experience. Puri Shayanat, you reside in this body, I am. And your true original nature is Purna. Purna means all extensive. From our concept, time and space are all expansive. It conveys all that. Not a speck of space where he is not, isness is not. There's not an iota of time where isness is not. And that isness is your true original nature, which you constantly say, I am. But you have mistaken your identity by identifying yourself of those 5 sheaths, which is not your true original nature. This is the basis of education that this chapter will give you. I am summing it up for you. So, Divya Amurta, you have no shape or size or form. Divya hi Amurta Purusha, where it is to be found, try to find out who this I am is. Who is this first person, singular number of English grammar or Sanskrit grammar is I, capital I. It is never a small I. Always a capital I. Who is that I? I am. Divya, he is Divya, he is Amurta, shapeless. It is Purusa, he resides in you. It has no external or internal. Sabhajyam Ampyantara. It is everywhere. Ajaha, birthless. Anadi, Ananta. Without beginning, without end. Your concept, human concept, eternal, beyond concept of time. Time stops there. Divya hi Amurta Purusha Sabhajya Abhyantara Aja, birthless. Aprana. All the activities with which you are involved, there is no such activities. life force, it does not exist. Or prana, that is pranamaya kosha, has no hold on it. Or manamaya kosha is not there. Or prana or mana, therefore it is absolutely pure, shubhra, unpolluted, unadulterated by anything. The thing in itself. That's how Kant used to try to explain the concept of soul. The thing in itself. Kant was a famous German philosopher. Thing in itself. That you can't explain. It is all that. Aprana, amana, shubhra, unpolluted, unadulterated. Aksharat, parataha, paraha. It is more sublime than what you know as the causal cause of the world. The pot of clay, it has its own character, it's a material, but in it, the potentiality which a creator takes advantage of and creates 1,000 things. A piece of timber, a wood craftsman will create so many toys out of it, but it is basically timber. So it is aksharat parataha para. That is the last stage from which you go beyond the last hold of Anandamaya Kosha. 5 sheaths. Annamaya, material. Pranamaya is life forces. Manomaya is activity of your mind. Vijnanamaya is the intellect. And Anandamaya is your ego. And it is beyond your ego. This is what is being said. That is what is your true nature. That is the subject matter of Paravidya Vishaya. Please, as I tell you, don't say you have not made any progress. You have not made any progress according to the counting the number of shlokas. But I am sure these various ways of approach to understand what is the reality behind the appearance. And that appearance has such a hold on me that I forget there's a reality behind the appearance. And he's drawing your attention to that reality, whether you call it the Holy Ghost or the Spirit, whether you call it the Brahman or Atman, whether you call it the Torah or Shalom, whether you call it Allah or Khuda, whether you call it Shunyam, is immaterial. The essence is the same. This is what Sri Ramakrishna taught you all, that see, God is one. The ultimate truth is one. Ekam Sat, Bahu Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. The knowers look at it from various perspectives and they define it according to their perceptions. Religions are nothing else but various paths leading to the same goal. We are now studying the Vedanta, which is a concept of a universal religion, which harmonizes and says it is a progress of evolution. Dvaitavad, Vishishtadvaitavad, Advaitavad, and then what happens to you happens. I don't know how to describe it. This is how the Upanishads is teaching you. Divya he nishaye. Have no doubt about it. What I am telling you is truth. Divya, Jyotanavan, self-effulgent, Sasambedya Chaitanya. You are self-evident awareness. Divya, he means have no doubt. This is a reality. Amurta, it is shapeless. And it is the same inside and outside. Unadulterated, unpolluted, untarnished. The thing in itself. Amurta Purusa. Where has it to be found? It is within me. That is my true original nature. And you have to find a way out to experience that. He will teach you those ways later on. He's creating the foundation of your spiritual life. Amurta Purusa Savajya Mantaraja Aprana. There is no life force, no activity. Amanaha. No concepts, no imagination, nothing at all. It is absolutely pure, unadulterated, the thing in itself. Unpolluted at all. Aksharat parataha paraha. Parataha para means it is sublimer than what you think is the ultimate. The five matters of this universe, you have taken it as an ultimate. An infinite combination and permutation of those five elements is the cause of that diversity. Those five elements are real to you. But those five elements have the concept of isness in it. That isness, that awareness of isness, existence pure, satta, satsarupata, these are the typical words. Satta, satsarupata. That is the existence pure, absolute concept of existence. I am. That is it. Who am I? What am I? I am effulgent. I am without shape and form. I have to find out who this first person singular number of English and Sanskrit grammar is. Amurta Purusa, Abhyantara Aja, Aprana Amana Shubra, Akshara Paratapara. This is the point which I wanted to drive home. Materially speaking, you have the ultimate cause, and this is beyond that. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you. We'll proceed further in our next session. Thank you for your patience and your hearing. Then he will tell you, Etasmad Jayate, and it describes the whole cosmos which has come out of it. Thank you. God bless you.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.